Hi everybody, this is Des and Lauren, and we're speaking this evening about state capture and system change and how it is related. Actually, how one man is trying to interrelate both topics.
Well, this is the Chief Justice of the Concord, Raymond Zondo, who has made statements at the HSRC meeting, and Parliament has actually now said that they are disgusted with what he has said, and they've asked for a meeting with him to explain his comments. So please stick with us. This won't be long, but we'll explain to you what he said and why this is important, especially on electoral reform.
Nothing has changed. Zondo fears state will be captured again and Parliament won't stop it again.
So he believes that in future the state will be captured again, and I hate those words, state capture, and that Parliament will be able to do nothing about it again. And this is the part that we want to focus on, because he gave very specific recommendations, and he says nothing's been done about these recommendations, and this is a year after he gave the initial Zondo report now. So a year has passed, nothing has happened. So more than R1 billion spent, wasted, if nothing is done with what he has done. I mean, what is the point? Committee, inquiries, all sorts of things cost taxpayers' money, not the president's money or the minister that calls for it.
That's a good point. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo said he still believed that if another group of people were to attempt to capture the state, they would succeed because Parliament would again fail to stop them. I think his entire frame of reference is wrong here, because the state is not serving the people at all. It was set up to fail long time ago. Anyway.
A very long time ago, and of course he's still playing into the current system, but he is the chief arbiter when it comes to the Constitution. He is the Chief Justice. He swears in the President into his position. So that is a very serious position within our country, and probably the highest in the legal system. So this is not insignificant, and I have made many accusations with regards to things that happened in his life before, and maybe this is a golden leaf that is hanging out there. Maybe it's a reprisal against certain things that happened to him. But he is asking for the electoral system to be changed, so that we can hold literally the public people we elect to account. So he wants us to elect our parliamentarians.
That's great. Well, here's his motivating factor. Zondo said his biggest fear was that citizens remained vulnerable to the impact of corruption despite his pride in the work of the state capture inquiry. And
so I suppose he feels like all his work has come to naught.
Probably.
Ignored completely.
I think it's just evidence in his words that the state is captured, including all the things that make up the state. Here he goes mentioning the Guptas, but anyway, if another group of people were to do exactly what the Guptas did to pursue state capture, I don't know why it doesn't mention a whole lot of other names.
Oh, there should be
Parliament would still not be able to stop it. That is simply because I've seen nothing that has changed. If Parliament won't be able to protect the people's interests, who will protect the people? So it sounds like Zondo is issuing a motion of no confidence against all the MPs in Parliament, if that were to be possible.
But the DA quickly jumped in and did a reprisal article where they say they agree with Zondo that Parliament won't be able to stop it, in which they just declared themselves impotent.
They're populists.
Yeah, that they are pointless. Interesting.
Zondo highlighted the failures of Parliament in holding the government accountable when it was becoming clear that the Gupta family and other entities were intent on capturing various state-owned enterprises. He said this was a failure by Parliament and that he was concerned that the ANC had used its majority to ensure that accountability was stifled rather than increased. In his report, so this is an important part right at the end. We're not there yet. In his report, Zondo had recommended safeguards to protect the country against state capture and lack of action by Parliament. He repeated this recommendation, adding that electoral reform to allow for a constituency-based system would give voters more power.
So this is something that I would like, just like the DA say that they agree with him, that they would agree with us, that we need to reform the electoral system so that political parties don't have power anymore and we elect individuals directly. But you see, they won't do this because the current system suits them just fine, because we don't elect the people in Parliament right now. Well, let's carry on with the article.
If public representatives elected directly by constituencies acted against the mandate given, they would be held accountable by those voters, Zondo said. So yeah, Zondo is hinting at the possibility of voters being able to vote someone out if they're ineffective, which does not happen now. If you're unhappy with any of your representatives, firstly, you don't have an MP that represents you geographically. At local level only, you have a representative, and if they're terrible, there's nothing really you can do about it. You're really stuck, because if you moan at the party they belong to, the party might fire them and put someone else in place, best case scenario. And again, you don't have control over who the candidate is. The political party decides. The political party will choose the person that has shown the most loyalty. It's a true gangsterism system.
Well, the next part of the article deals exactly with this.
Currently, political parties decide who they will deploy to Parliament, and the party's mandate takes precedence over voters' demands and needs. Oh, wow. Now it's in the mainstream media after all these years. And
well, everything you've been saying is filtering through. It's getting into the mainstream, and this is something that Lauren's been calling for since 2017, and it's quite a change to many other people that just want individuals represented in Parliament. What you've called for is very different within the Organic Humanity Movement, and fully in line with what, well, Zondo is fully in line with what you have called for.
He has not mentioned voting for the president.
No, he actually has in the report. It's just not mentioned in the article, yeah. That the president should be elected directly. And then the MPs in their constituencies.
Another recommendation was for more active citizenry, Zondo said. And you know what?
That's Omega.
He's not the only person in government to have said that. I remember many years ago going to an IEC meeting where the IEC commissioner was present giving a speech, and she said to the people there, democracy is more than just voting every 5 years. And that's 100% true. We're supposed to be actively engaged. We're supposed to make our politicians uncomfortable. We're supposed to make our voices heard in so many different ways. Yet we do not.
Well, you were actually in IEC training today for many hours. So people do need to get involved, and that is what a democracy takes. If people aren't involved in a democracy and they actually just go and vote once every so many years, it cannot be a democracy. It's just literally a fake system. It's not true democracy.
In fact, the IEC is one place where our democracy in its current form actually works quite well. And if anyone listening to this video says you cannot trust the IEC, you hate the IEC, well, I challenge you to become a volunteer, to become a party agent, and actually observe the process during elections. And you can do that on behalf of OHM, so you can see the process for yourself and see that there are people in government, in various places, in various organizations, whether it's Chapter 9 institutions or whatever, that do have the best interests of South Africa at heart, and they do want the system to change. And they've
been wanting it for a long time.
The training we had, I've been through training like this before. We had some new OMIs involved in the training today, and it's a way that allows our electoral process to be transparent, and it only works through active citizenry.
So how many parties actually arrived for the training, or actually took part?
Only two.
Only two.
But in defense of the bigger parties, the more established parties that have been around for eons, they probably do it themselves now, because they've done it so many times.
But it's still good to be part of that process, to have that interaction with the IEC, the accountability.
That's actually the whole point, and that's what the presenter said.
They should all be
having
there.
All the parties present, you kind of make a commitment to make sure the voter has the best experience on the day, and that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other bigger parties actually don't think that the IEC is important enough for them to actually send representatives, and it's actually quite sad that that is the case. So the two parties present were?
OHM and EFF.
Well, think about that, and maybe you'll change your opinion of many of the parties based on the evidence before you. Some people actually want the system to work, or within the system change the system. That is what OMI is doing specifically, and you need to be involved to make that happen. But there's something else that is said here right at the end by Raymond Zondo. Besides the act of citizenry, he said when asked if he believed state capture placed the country's democracy at risk, Zondo said, yes, unequivocally it does. So he's of the opinion that we are going down a slippery slope with regards to our democracy and our system if we do not implement these changes.
The problem is he hands the report to the president of the country. The president of the country is elected by the MPs in Parliament, and it will always be the president of the political party, the ANC. And I've always said, if the system had to stay hypothetically exactly the same, the president of the country cannot also be the president of a political party. It's a conflict of interest. So the fact that that's culture and tradition within politics, that the leader of the party becomes the leader of the country, is completely flawed. And unfortunately, the process Zondo is following is completely pointless, because why? Why would they do anything, make any change in Parliament that would make them unemployed?
Well, it was the same as the Concourse ruling on individuals being able to run to be elected to the provincial parliaments as well as the national parliament, and which is a complete hash up. It's impossible to implement properly, and you actually have to do a complete system change, do what Zondo is asking for, and he understands that you can't have the parties and this mixed up.
So is Zondo bold enough to actually say we need to obliterate the political party system in South Africa?
He has said that in the Commission report, and maybe we can do a video on that, actually read from it, so that you can see his recommendations. And it's fully in line with what the Organic Humanity Movement has been proposing since 2017.
I hope you're right, because I haven't read the commission.
I have.
Have you?
So it was really incredible when I saw the report come out, and he actually mentioned the constituency-based system, mentioned that we need to directly elect the president, and that we need to directly elect the MPs based on constituencies where they actually live. He actually mentioned all of that.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
And we can already directly elect the local councillors, so everything is in place.
Does he mention anything about the role of provincial government?
No. He's obviously not going to get involved in that job.
We're proposing no provincial governments and more empowerment to local governments, with national government having a very limited role, but we can go into that any other time.
But all the seeds that we've planted with the direct election campaign, and a lot of people have bastardized that with the individuals being elected, which it has nothing to do with. That campaign has had an impact countrywide, and this discourse is mainstream. It's in the Zondo report, and that means that we've had huge success, a lot faster than I thought it would happen. Now Zondo is coming out and saying, you guys are doing nothing. Parliament has now asked him to come and explain himself. He doesn't have to explain himself to them at all, because he puts them in their positions, literally make sure that the processes were followed, etc. And there's many cases before the Concord right now with regards to this new electoral bill, which is a complete farce. So what Zondo recommended, I agree with him. Somehow all this information that's been put out there has filtered through, because all the subversions want to keep the political parties, which makes it worse, okay, like this current bill. Where what you've said from the beginning is the political parties need to go. You've been the only one advocating for that as an official party that is registered with the IEC. I don't know of anyone else that said that political parties need to be done away with completely.
Also don't know.
Only OM has that in their constitution, and I'm sure many people at the IEC are saying, yes, please let this work. So thanks so much for watching. Any other thoughts?
You said, please let this work. That depends on people and active citizenry,
Absolutely.
exactly what Zondo's saying. So, yeah, it would be awesome to meet Zondo and look him in the eyes and make sure he has good intentions with everything he's proposing. A system change in a direction that improves democracy can only be good for South Africa. And the thing is, this is the big secret. It has to continually change. So even once we've changed it, the next generation has to work on changing it even more. And that's how you progress human civilization towards a better form of living, a better way of living. That's totally different to how we're living right now. So continual change is extremely important.
But thanks for your support. Thanks for your likes. Thanks for your comments. We read your comments. We look at them. We don't just ignore the comments. So thanks so much to those of you that share these videos. Our subscriber base is growing beautifully. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, thank you. And just if you've made it to this part of the video, 15 minutes in, I'd love to know who you would vote for as president of the country, the leader of the country, especially like well-known people that are known in the media, public figures currently, people who are currently public figures. Who would you be inclined to vote for as the president of the country?
If they could run as independents.
Yeah, if they could run as independents in the hypothetical new system which we're working towards. I would love to know, because I've heard some suggestions before and I honestly can't think of who would be the ideal fit. But
maybe we can cover all these people, all these suggestions. Talk about
let's
them.
get the ideas out there and
maybe we can interview them.
Yes,
and put them through the grinder, the meat grinder.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
And the more potential candidates there are within the new system, the more lively our democracy will be. So
Absolutely.
We need lots of people to campaign in the new system.
I would love to interview people and actually have like a playlist section on where we do interviews of people that think they would make a good president.
Future president playlist.
Absolutely.
I love it.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Okay. Please put that in the comments, and then we'll bring you another interesting article on Monday morning.
See you on Monday.